Action.
Hello, Watertown, and welcome to the Midday Show. It's not the late show.
It's not the morning show.
It's the Midday Show.
This is our first episode of the Midday Show.
The Midday Show is a wonderful program which will be following our adventures through Watertown and the surrounding area.
We will be covering local events, history, stories, and much more. Today, we will be highlighting the fall musical at the high school, Thoroughly Modern Millie.
And our guest for today is the productions director and high school choir teacher, Mr. Ryan Moldenhauer.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moldenhauer.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
So tell us about the production. What can the audience expect from this performance?
Well, Thoroughly Modern Millie was written in a time, it was actually debuted in Broadway after 2000, and it takes place in 1922 in New York City, where a small town girl, Millie Dilmount, moves to New York City to find life in the big city. And it follows her story, and it follows a lot of other characters throughout the production to find who they actually are.
So, what part of the show are you most excited to show people?
That's a tough thing. There's so many great elements to this show, but I would say that I love how all the characters are so unique and different, and how the story intertwines to bring all of them to life.
What's your favorite musical number in the show?
That's another tough one because there's so many good musical tunes, but I love the first full production number, Thoroughly Modern Millie. Just has such great life to it and great dance numbers, but there's tap numbers and there's love ballads, and everything that anybody would want in a show is in the show.
So I'm sure costumes are a big part of this show. What's your favorite costume from the show?
Absolutely. Costume-wise, I would say that the ladies' beaded flapper dresses are really something unique that we haven't had in the last several years, and they really tell what time period we're in. So,
What do rehearsals look like for you and the actors?
rehearsals can range anywhere from full production rehearsals where every single person in the cast is there, either working on dance or working on music. Some of the times I'm working with either one or two people on a dance number or a scene where we're blocking and doing all the acting, and anywhere in between. So I try to be respectful of people's time and only ask them to come to rehearsal when they're needed.
So, what's the set gonna look like for this show, or is that too much of a spoiler?
The set actually, in the last few years, we've had a set that stays for the majority of the show, and this set actually takes us to lots of different places. While they're all in New York City, some of them are at a rundown hotel, some of them are in an insurance company, some of them are on the street of New York, some of them are in a speakeasy. So we go to lots of different places, but we're always in New York City. So while we've got a New York City skyline happening in the show, we'll bring in different pieces to resemble the different places that we travel in the city.
So I'm sure working with high schoolers can sometimes be a challenge, but what are some of the more rewarding parts of working with a high schooler?
That they love what they do, and they're passionate about what they do. I love that. I have actually been teaching summer school for several years now, and the kids that I started teaching summer school to are now in high school, so I've known them for 9 to 12 years, which is really exciting to be able to see their growth as a performer from when they were really little to now.
So besides acting and singing, how are students involved in the production?
There are also 24 members in our pit orchestra, our live pit. There are students that work behind the scenes, moving around scenery. There are students that help with makeup and hair. There are students that are running spotlights. So there's lots of different ways that kids can get involved even if they're not on stage.
So, what's your process of choosing a fall musical for the Watertown High School?
The process is trying to see what talent we have coming back. There were years where you like pick something for a specific person, or like the year that we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, you need a lot of guys to do that, and we had a lot of quirky guys that year. So yeah, just trying to see like what talent you have coming back and trying to pick a show of trying to imagine people in those roles. It usually never turns out the way that I have it in my head, but you have to have some sort of starting point to go off of.
Right. So when will the show be performed?
The show this year is November 8th, 9th, and 10th. And Friday and Saturday night, the show is at 7:30, and on Sunday, it is at 3 o'clock.
So where can people buy tickets for the performance?
Tickets are available on the Watertown High School website. If you go to www.wusd.org or goslingmusic.org, you can find your tickets there, and there's a button that you can click, and it'll take you right to the site, and you can pay with a credit card.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, that's all the time we have for today. A special thank you to Ryan Moldenhauer for being our guest on the show today. Thank you to Watertown TV for helping produce and broadcast the Midday Show. And thank you, Watertown, for supporting us along this journey. And as a green ogre once said, you don't need to change your underwear to change your world.
Hey boys, can you please break up? Yeah, give us something. You want to tap dance? Yes. A little dance for us. We'd like you to do a little dance for us. He's gonna do a little dance for us. Isn't that See, that was really something.
See, that's what's gonna make our show. We'll have that, like, when we have like our intro made, we'll have that somewhere in there. There's one of the guests tap dancing on the show.